Welcome to the Giggles and the Cheese Early Morning Classic Rock Show here on WPOB 88.5 FM Plainview, where we rock you. And we have a very special treat for you today.
With us, we have legendary singer-songwriter Richie Havens. Throughout his career, Mr. Havens has released numerous albums, appeared in numerous movies and TV shows, performed at a presidential inauguration, and most notably was the opening act at Woodstock. Welcome to the show, Mr. Havens.
Oh, thank you for having me.
Thank you for calling. We just got a few quick questions for you. Start off, how did you get started in music?
I think I inherited a great deal of what I have and feel from my father. My father used to play piano by ear as a kid. He could hear something on the radio and he could just go to the piano and play it. And I think I inherited hearing music well.
Okay.
That's a bottom baseline. And then singing doo-wop, for a lot of my lifetime, and from the early 50s into close to 1960, like 59. And then I discovered Greenwich Village, which basically changed my approach to songs. I mean, singing doo-wop, you could write 39 songs a day, But when you get around that and you hear a real song about our times, about our conditions, about all of those things, and it moves you personally, then that song has to be heard. That's the way I feel about songs and about what started me off.
Now, you play the guitar using some very unique techniques. How did you develop this style?
Well, I had to I had to get these songs. Well, I'll put it this way. There was a guy down in Greenwich Village named Freddie Neal. You should check some of his music out. He was one of the guys who actually, sort of created me. The songs that he sang, they moved me so much. I used to go every time Dave was playing. I used to go run from one coffee house to the other to watch him play. And he sang a song called the Dolphin Song, which was later done by Tim Buckley and a bunch of other guys, including myself, on a recording. And he also wrote Everybody's Talking at Me, Can't Hear a Word They Say. Really good song. Nielsen made it famous, but he wrote it. And he was the guy who came up to me one day, and he says, Richie, you've been singing my songs now from the audience, in harmony, no less. He said, why don't you take this darn guitar and go home and learn how to play them yourself, and then you come back here and get up on the stage. So I borrowed his guitar, didn't know how to tune it. That's where the tuning it to a chord came in. I mean, I know music from the inside that I could sing a chord, what the notes are. So I tuned it that way. And then all I needed in the initial learning of these songs was two other chords. So I found those on the neck, and there was my three chords that I needed to sing any one of a million rock and roll songs and folk songs, for that matter. The big three chords, And 3 days later, I was back on that stage singing the 6 songs that had changed my life that I heard there in this place. Dino Valenti was another person who contributed to my style of playing. He was a very dramatic player of the guitar. He made it sound like he was playing flamenco music but singing modern songs. It really exciting way to play. Well, I came back there and I went up on stage and I sang the 2 or 3 songs that Freddie, I learned from Freddie sitting in the audience, and a couple of songs from Dino Valenti, who later became the lead singer of Quicksilver Messenger Service back then. So that's how it all began for me.
And so along with your many original songs, you have made many classic songs your own, such as Here Comes the Sun and Strawberry Fields. How do you choose which songs to cover, and how do you make them your own?
That's a good question, and when I hear that, I have to say how it really happens. I don't choose them; they choose me. I could be walking in a record store and something comes over the music box up there, and I go, "What the heck is that?" Stop me dead in my tracks, and I go find the record record immediately, and you know what? It was really something that moved me deeply. And then when I finally got to hear the whole song, I felt it first, and that's what happens. The song educates me. You know, it could be. I remember the first time I heard "I Want to Hold Your Hand" on the radio. It was like the first week that it came out in the United States from the Beatles, and I was 2 rooms away, and I heard this sound, and I ran out to the kitchen. My radio's on top of the fridge, and I turned it up, and it was "I Want to Hold Your Hand." And I went, holy smokes, something's changed now. Boy, there's something brand new on the horizon. And it was the Beatles. You know, so there are a lot of Beatles songs that I've actually sung. Eleanor Rigby, Strawberry Fields, even, what's the name of that one? It's Rocky Raccoon. You name them. You know, they all moved me in a certain way. And so I was fortunate enough to really start out singing the songs that changed me personally, and thinking that there are other people who should really hear these songs because they might be able to make use of the same information I'm getting it from that song. And that's the way I find songs, they find me, basically.
And I actually like that approach a lot. That's a really cool way to think about it. As we said before, you were the opening act of Woodstock. Mm-hmm. How did you land that gig?
Well, the good thing is I was already I was on making my 3rd album at the time, and I have to say it was as legitimate as it was for any other kind of place, because the guys who put it together, you know, they thought they were sort of emulating like the Newport Folk Festival mixed with a little rock and roll, you know, and Crosby, Stills and Nash type music. Mm-hmm. Yes, they were trying to show the fabric of what we were doing, what we were listening to, and how we were appreciating what we were hearing from each other as musicians. It was actually when East meets West and West meets East. You know, we hadn't seen any of these bands ourselves as musicians that came in from the West Coast to play on it, like Sly and the Family Stone. And
Jimi Hendrix, yeah.
Jimi Hendrix. Well, Jimmy started in New York. I actually
yeah.
sent him downtown to Greenwich Village to become Jimi Hendrix, to tell you the truth.
He's from Seattle, right?
Yeah, he's from Seattle, but he was playing with Little Richard.
Oh, okay.
And he got fired, and Little Richard fired him because he was too good. And he was, too. And he landed up in New York, and he got a gig through the union, which I never even knew the union gave people gigs, and I was in it for 3 years, you know. But he was. I met him at a place called the Cheetah, which was a new place that opened up uptown on Broadway and maybe 52nd Street. It was an ex-ballroom, and some guys came from Europe and did it over, and it was the discotheque for live music. They played live music for the people to dance to. And I had a jam band, and we actually auditioned, and the guy brought us in as the first band, one of the first 2 bands to play there. And that's where I met him. I met him playing for a group called Carl Holmes and the Commanders. And I heard his music, and I turned around, and I looked at the guy on the stage with the guitar in his face, like he's biting the strings. And I go, what is he doing? I ran up to the stage. There wasn't even anybody there yet. I was so early. I thought, well, you ought to be embarrassed trying to party too hardy, you know. You get there before everybody else. That's pretty. I found myself on my knees trying to look up under his guitar to see what the heck he was doing. And I couldn't really see it. So when they got off stage, I ran backstage. And I said, hey, can I ask you a question? You know, like, where the heck have you been all my life? You know, you're incredible. He goes, oh no, I just play for other people. And you know, I say, well, were you biting to get the strings? He goes, oh no, that's an old blues trick. You know, a very shy person. So I said, well, where are you staying? He says, uptown. I said, no. You want to know something? you don't need no job from these from